Welcome back to the morning show on this Monday. It's a great day to learn about agriculture in Central Illinois. And what better way to do that than with our Ag in the Classroom segment? With me now is Sarah Kaper from the Champaign County Farm Bureau Foundation's Ag in the Classroom program. Sarah, welcome back.
Thanks for having me.
So this month you've taken us on a ride with these topics, right?
I have.
We talked about poo 2 weeks ago.
I did.
Last week we talked about
Worm poo.
Yeah. Last week we soiled our undies.
Yes, we
did. At least
did.
the project here. And I'm going to say that the poo connection, there's probably some manure in the soil maybe, right?
Maybe. Yes. Yeah.
Could be. Is that a stretch?
You just have to run with that one on your own. I noticed that the last two lessons you haven't had enough to have your hands on. So,
right. These works.
you just really need to get your mind engaged on poo.
For sure.
And I'm happy to accommodate. But today we're going to talk about plastics in our soil.
Yes.
So we talked about the worms. We talked about what's in our soil that are decomposers. But I also want to talk about something else, that synthetic band on the underwear.
Yeah.
Remember that? So what happened to it when we buried it?
It didn't break down at all.
It didn't break down.
It stayed. It did not have any.
So the elastics behaved in the waistband of the underwear behaved like plastic would if you buried a cup or a water bottle. It did not decompose, and worms and bacteria and fungi will not attack that and eat that. So what happens when we have plastic in our soil? What happens to that if synthetics end up somewhere in our soil?
It'll be there for a long, long time.
It'll be there for a long time. And even worse yet is those plastics oftentimes leach into the water and soil itself. And you all know that those are the things that end up in our food systems. So, you can take a look at the graphic and notice that I've got a really great story here. One plastic bag, you can find this on Amazon, and I heard about it and I'm like, I gotta find out a little bit more about this. And this is about a village in Gambia, and they had an excess of plastic bags from big bulk stores and other stores, and it was blowing into their crop area that they were planting in, and it was harming the soil, and things weren't growing. So the women of that village decided to take all of the bags and they cut them into strips like this. And when they did, they learned how to crochet them together to make wallets and bags. Here's an example of a bag made out of plastic grocery bags. So they learned to use the bags and repurpose them. And you can make pieces of jewelry out of the bags even. So if you wanted to recycle or repurpose them, you could. But in our consumer mentality, we actually use about 1 billion plastic bags every year.
Wow.
And so in Africa, they found a way to repurpose those.
That's really great.
We need to recycle more. About 1% of all these plastic bags that we're talking about, of the 1 billion, get recycled.
Yeah,
That's
and I know
not
grocery
a
stores
lot.
sometimes have those bins. You could just keep them and
put them in there. You can reuse them at home.
Also true.
For other things. So it's really, really important. But we also want to talk about, that plastic that gets in our soil and becomes part of our food supply. We have to be very careful about what ends up there. So I just have a quick little experiment for you to do.
Okay.
Or us to do. I have 2 different cups of soil, and it's mildly wet, and I have 2 cuttings of plants. Now you could do a little, since it's plant season, you could go buy a box of impatiens or something like that and do this. But we're gonna plant one of those in some moist soil, and it will set roots, okay? And this is just moist soil and water, okay? And a little bit of plant food in there. In this cup, I'll leave that there. In this cup, we're going to try a little experiment. I'd like to add, or have you add, some plastic to that soil. So just kind of push it down. Yep, push it down in there. Oh, yep. I'll give you a towel then. Nope, you're fine.
That's all right.
Get it down in there.
Soiling my fingers this time.
So we'll make a good percentage of that soil full of plastic. Now, not only is that soil going to be displaced by all of that plastic, but it could prove harmful for that plant. So we're going to plant that one, and we'll put them under the same growing conditions, and over time we'll see if all of those plastics in the soil affect the way that plant grows.
And I know some farmers are dealing with this issue here in Central Illinois in their farm fields, right?
Yep, because you can oftentimes look out and see that there are lots of bags that have blown across the field. So another experiment that you can do at home, or take your bags and make something this summer.
Both great activities for the upcoming summer season. I know school is wrapping up for you guys here soon.
It sure is.
We'll have that. Thanks for being here. It's really great. And yeah, this is fantastic to talk about plastics and what we need to do to help out things.
Yeah.
If you want to learn more about this, get the lesson plans, the book recommendation, and more, head on over to our website, WCIA.com.